A U.S. military-contracted plane crashed in a rice field in the southern Philippines Thursday, killing all 4 people on board, the U.S. Embassy and Philippine officials said. The Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines confirmed the crash of a light plane in Maguindanao del Sur province. It did not immediately provide other details. According to Associated Press, the plane that crashed in the southern province was contracted by the U.S. military. U.S. Embassy spokesperson Kanish Gungopadhyay told the Associated Press, adding that the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command will issue a more detailed statement on the crash. The bodies of 4 people who appeared to be foreign nationals were retrieved from the wreckage in Ampatuan town, said Amir Jihad Tim Ambaladto, a safety officer of Maguindanao del Sur. Windy Beatty, a provincial disaster mitigation officer, told the Associated Press that she received reports that residents saw smoke coming from the plane and heard an explosion before the aircraft plummeted to the ground less than a kilometer from a cluster of farmhouses. Nobody was reported injured on or near the crash site, which was cordoned off by troops, Beatty said. A water buffalo on the ground was also killed as a result of the plane crash, local officials said. U.S. forces have been deployed in a Philippine military camp in the country's south for decades to help provide advice and training to Filipino forces battling Muslim militants. The region is the homeland of minority Muslims in the largely Roman Catholic nation.
Taw ko na lang kay at least 4. Oo, pero ginahulak pa man ang soko. Oo, gani. Pabili. Lahat walang babae. Habang buhok mo, walang
The Ukrainians are using the new FPV ambush tactic of wait and shoot. This technique is used behind Russian lines to destroy vehicles on supply routes, which is likely used as a way to complicate logistics and carry out targeted attacks, writes Forbes. This tactic may be a response to the limited flight time of FPV drones, which typically operate for no more than 20 minutes and cannot wait for a target. However, it is also a step towards a new format of warfare. The method was described in a handbook on Russian tactics that appeared on Russian social media several months ago. Now we see it being used by Ukrainian forces. A video has emerged online showing a series of strikes on a small quad bike, likely one of the Chinese Desert Cross 1003s that Russian troops are increasingly using due to a shortage of military equipment. The FPV drone is in ambush position on the snow near the road, facing the traffic with the rotors off. The operator is watching a passing quad bike, and the FPV takes off and chases the target. It overtakes the quad bike and then turns around, attacking it head-on. A shot appears from a reconnaissance drone observing the strike. After the explosion, the ATV continues moving but slides into a forest belt. The video cuts to footage from the second FPV approaching the now damaged quad. The driver is not visible. The second drone attacks. The third FPV confirms that the quad bike is destroyed and on fire. The cameraman presumably goes looking for the driver by following tracks in the snow, although this pursuit is not shown. This video shows that all 3 FPVs were pre-positioned in ambush, and the operators felt it was justifiable to use 3 drones to attack a small target without passengers or cargo. The Desert Cross costs around $23,000 in Russia, while the FPV costs around $500 per unit. However, the key factor is not the price, but the availability of ammunition. The second video from the network shows 3 attacks on Russian trucks. In the first 2 cases, the FPV drones wait in tall grass. When a target appears, the rotors turn on, the screen shows the indicator armed and then bomb armed, which may indicate a 2-stage process of warhead activation. In the third case, the drone is positioned at the side of the road and flies up the road, searching for a target. This may indicate coordination with a reconnaissance drone that informed the operator about the truck's movement. In all 3 attacks, the FPV drones specifically target the rear of the cabin, likely to hit the driver, as the small FPV warhead is not capable of completely destroying the truck. The third video records the destruction of the Chief of Staff of the Storm Ossetia Battalion, Sergei Melnikov, in the Zaporizhia region. The GUR of Ukraine received information about Melnikov's route and schedule and prepared an ambush. In the video, an FPV drone flies past Melnikov's car, turns around and attacks head-on, similar to the attack on the ATV. The driver tries to leave the road. The car flips over. The drone repeats the attack. According to the main intelligence directorate, Melnikov and his driver were killed. The sit-and-wait tactic is interesting because it opens up new possibilities for the combat use of FPV drones. It is not known how exactly FPV drones are positioned in ambushes. Given their limited battery life, they could have arrived on their own or been delivered by special drones. Ukrainian Wild Hornets and other systems are already used to transport FPV drones and increase their range. Ukrainian forces have been actively using drones to plant anti-tank mines behind enemy lines. However, these mines are easy to defuse, while FPV drones can remain undetected and attack anyone trying to defuse them. The idea is an evolution of the Hell Hive concept pioneered by American company VRR. Pre-positioned boxes with FPV drones that are activated when needed. Such drones could be almost autonomous. They only need a reconnaissance drone operator to identify targets. In the future, drones from ambush can operate at much greater distances. Ukrainian Lyuti have a range of over 1,600 kilometers and can, instead of explosives, scatter FPV drones near air bases, creating obstacles for the enemy. As the videos show, FPV drones are already being used for ambushes. The main question is what new possibilities they will open up in the future.
According to Associated Press, the Russian Defense Ministry released on Wednesday a footage showing a Soyuz spacecraft blasting off from Russia's northern cosmodrome in Plesetsk. According to the ministry, the Soyuz 2.1V was carrying space devices. Russian media reported that military satellites were on board.